in to another episode of In the Kitchen with the Breakfast Brothers. I'm Luscious Barbie, and I'll be guiding you through today's episode. I'm so excited to present today's guest. On today's episode, we have account executive Austin Parish. And we also have architect Alexander Quintanilla. And now, the moment that we've all been waiting for. The man in the kitchen, connecting the dots from entertainment to food, giving us wisdom every day. Give it up for our host, Ricky Booker.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of In the Kitchen with the Breakfast Brothers. I'm your host, Ricky Booker. There are so many things in the world that brings us together. Good food, little conversation does it every time. And In the Kitchen with the Breakfast Brothers, we love feeding your soul. Today's guest, he's a restaurant technology expert, restaurant consultant, and also the account executive at Toast. Let's give a warm welcome for Austin Parish. Hey, what's going on?
Hey,
Austin? You doing all right? Come on in here.
Hey, good to
Thank
see
you for coming on the show, man.
Absolutely, I'm happy
Visiting
to be
all
here.
those restaurants and setting up POS systems. We're going to talk a lot about that because what you offer, a lot of restaurants need to know about. And it's kind of like buying a car.
Sure.
When you buy a car, every time you see that car everywhere. Before I knew what Toast was, and when I got on board with Toast, now every restaurant I go to, I see that handheld and Toast and everything. But, you know, it's always a part of this show, especially in the kitchen. I need to know this. You're around restaurants all the time. Everybody has a disaster in the kitchen, whether they good chef or whether they bad cooks or whatever.
See it every day.
I know you got one. Let's find out what that is.
Oh, man. Well, I think, what was I, maybe like 6 or 7 years old, and that's when I learned I didn't want anything to do with being a cook. I had just gone inside and I wanted an apple. Mm-hmm. And I like my apples like cut up. I don't like just like yeah. And usually, you know, I was gonna get my mom to help me cut the apple. Instead, I was like, you know what? Let's just get the apple. Grabbed a big steak knife.
Okay, hold that thought. You said you were 6 years old.
6 or 7.
But no, okay,
7,
I'm gonna let you get back to viewers. You hear this? Back then, did they have CPS? Because his parents should have got in trouble. Now we won't go there. I'm messing with you. But go ahead. Back to the apple.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? My mom's probably upstairs or something. I don't know. Just grabbed a knife. I was like, you know what? This should work. Started cutting into the apple. Before I knew it, it's in my hand. I'm screaming. I see, you know, a bloody apple. Yeah. I'm yelling for my mom, and then I'm left with this little pretty scar to this day. So yeah, hey, a little battle wound. So man, that was a rough day, probably a rough month, and kind of stayed away from apples for a little bit.
I'm gonna say, do you even like apples anymore?
No, I'm not a big apples fan anymore. I moved on to strawberries. You can just. No knives involved,
yeah,
so.
But that's all right. It ain't funny, but you know, that's
kind
crazy.
of funny. I'll take it, yeah.
But 6 years old, but at least at that particular time, you probably sound like you used to get into stuff all the time because you was grown enough to go to get a knife.
I was.
Do that. So, but you know, leave it up to Austin. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about Toast and what you got going on being an expert in the restaurant business. But we're gonna do it at the sit down. All right, we're here at the sit down. I'm with Austin Parish, and he ordered red velvet tacos, and our lovely Tanella's bringing it.
Mr. Austin, you're in first page or so.
Oh man.
You know, he's not new to this. He get the same thing every time, even when he comes to the restaurant. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you take a bite, cause you know what it tastes like.
Yeah, I've missed these red velvet chicken and waffles, so I might have to just dive in here real quick.
But once again, like I said, he got the red velvet waffle and chicken tenders. Is it the same? As always.
Just how I left it.
Yeah. But we're gonna get going, and you can, like I said, you can eat anytime. We're gonna have a regular conversation, and I just kind of wanted to know because, you know, coming from where you came from, right out of college, what getting started in the industry, where'd that come from?
Good question. You know, I'd always like waited tables, bartended growing up. That was kind of like how I put myself through school. You know, other little things here and there, paid off like my cars, and then Toast. I didn't really come across Toast. It kind of came across me. Mm-hmm. I had a couple people reach out through LinkedIn, and at first I was like, man, what in the world is Toast? And then I started seeing it everywhere, and I was like, okay, they have, you know, some reports, some credibility, and then started interviewing and learned a little bit more about it. And you know, I just love working with small business owners like yourself every day, helping restaurants in the community and being able to give them the technology they need to be successful.
And you know, you said what in the world is Toast, so we hadn't said what Toast is yet. So viewers, Toast is a high advanced POS system for restaurants. You know, that's how they take care of your bills and take in bills. They have a handheld. They come to they shorten the time length from A to Z from when you get your food is done and you be able to pay for it. In the older days, you had to wait for a server to come back, bring your check. Now you can bring your whole handheld. So it's a POS system. So with that being said, Austin, let's talk a little bit. What's a day in life at Toast? Tell us a little bit how your day is when it comes to Toast.
Yeah, good question. A lot of the time I spend is just out visiting restaurants, whether it's like local customers, want to go check in on them, see how business is going, grab a bite, support them. And then when I'm not doing that, a lot of the times it's just showing people Toast. So we'll get on demos, product demos. I'll show them what the platform looks like, and then outside of that, getting a couple customer calls here and there. Get a call from Ricky every now and then. Some happy, some not so happy. And so yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's keeping our customers happy and partnering with them and just staying connected with them. So it's a lot of fun. I really like being out and seeing new concepts come to life and seeing how we can fit in. And it's a great feeling just to see people have success and open 2, 3, 4, 5 locations like yourself. So.
And like I said, it's when you have something as advanced as Toast, it's always easier because I had some different obstacles that I was going through at the time when it come to labor costs and tracking cost of goods and able to have software and integrations. And Toast brought a lot of that intuition for Breakfast Brothers. What's some of the obstacles that you have to overcome when it comes to doing this?
Yeah, I would say, sorry, it caught me mid-bite.
That's all right.
I would say the biggest thing is just, you're dealing with like so many different personalities every day, and there's so many different concepts and what their goals are and what their challenges are. And so I would say like the biggest obstacles is, trying to do what's best for their business and where you guys see fit. And, there might be times to where, I might meet with someone and say, hey, you know what, you're not quite like ready for Toast. Maybe like, as you get bigger, you guys start to grow. And then there's, times we revisit that. I would say along with that though is, we didn't always start off on the best foot right at first. And so I think it's just being able to adapt to your customers and having good communication with them and ultimately, just making sure you're there for them. So
I think my biggest challenge is with any vendor that I've ever done, it's almost like a text mode that I put people through. Yeah. Sometimes I purposely do it to see if they have tough skin because you got to understand, this is quite a big investment.
Yeah.
And the product knowledge that sometimes that you want your sales rep or individual to have, they might always have it. So sometimes it's a little bit unfair to me. So what I do is sometimes I can lash out at things that don't have knowledge and I kind of blow it off. But when Toast came about and I finally listened to what it is that you was trying to sell, it's been the heart. Toast POS system can be the heartbeat of your business. It was a time that I had, if you're a restaurant owner and you understand what I'm about to say, I've had an iPad for Uber Eats sitting on the counter. I had an iPad for DoorDash sitting on the counter. I had an iPad for Grubhub sitting on the counter. So if you look at the counters, you had all these iPads and these software tech for them to get deliveries. Then they have to print off, and the service, if the service was busy and the ticket stayed on the printer, time is going by and this person is waiting on their food. So the server had to take the ticket, go in the kitchen, give it to the cook so he can cook the food. So when I started looking at it and started listening to what Austin was trying to sell me, it has an integration for all the third-party deliveries. You don't have to do that no more. When it comes in the screen, it goes to the screen in the kitchen, they see it immediately. From the integration, having software for understanding your labor costs, having cost of goods factor in, and you can run reports and see that. It's the best thing I could ever done. So when it comes to that, sometimes we don't like to hear that initial investment.
Sure.
But you cannot have it. So some of your obstacles is dealing with people like me.
It sure is.
That's hard-headed and don't want to listen to that deal until it's too late. Now you find yourself cooking and buying inventory. You have no idea where your money's going.
Yeah. And you were, I don't know if you know this, but you were my first, when I started with Toast about a year ago, you were my first customer I was dealing with.
Oh, wow.
And, we had a couple kinks we had to get out, and Man, I was thrown to the wolves pretty quick, and but no, I mean, looking back on it though, like it helped me kind of understand like, hey, how I need to be with certain customers and things, and we've come a long way though. So
yeah, we did, and Pearson was a big. I put this way, he was the big referee in the middle of that.
Yeah.
It was like a UFC fight between me and Austin. He disappeared for like 90 days. I said, where's Austin at? Where'd he go?
I'd have Pearson on standby for backup.
Yeah, Pearson say, well, Ricky, man, you a little tough, man, and he's new. And that's when I found out. I said, oh man, I better not do that. So it comes along, but it turned out to be the best thing that happened for Breakfast Brothers, because you can get aggressive about how you need to do things, how your reports and integration can be. So you gave back to me when it came to that. So what do you do, and what do Toast do when they have something they do, they give back to communities? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, good question. Obviously most of our job is out working with restaurants, selling toast, but the other part of it is just being able to give back to the community. Like I've done all kinds of different little events here and there to where Toast gives you the time off to go take to help your community. So I mean, I've helped at like food kitchens. I've helped stock shelves. I even had kind of a one-off where I was at a an animal farm and I was cleaning out a chicken's coop.
Right.
So that that one was a little different. But yeah, no, we tried to like once a month at least get out there and we can bring a couple toasters out there, spend the whole day there, and help whatever it is, and we have fun. Shows them we're not here just for business. We want to invest in the communities and help them thrive. So
now, toasters is individuals that work for Toast.
Yeah, we just call each other toasters.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Mr. Goff, I'm like, why would you take toasters to a chicken coop?
Never know.
No, you never know. But if there's any restaurant owners, up and coming restaurant owners, or just restaurant owners now that's trying to seek and have information and have actual what I call the heartbeat of their business, how can they get in touch with you, Austin, and Toast, and because I know some people out there that needs some of the stuff that you're offering, because it helped. When I say it helped Breakfast Brother, it helped us 150%.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're a restaurant owner looking to upgrade your business, get on a newer technology platform, you can find us on toasttab.com. And from there, you can click to get a demo, see if Toast is right for you, and they'll redirect you to a representative nearby. So toasttab.com.
And all of it spelled correctly, so just like Toast.
Just like Toast,
Okay.
Yep.
And like I say, it's the best thing. I keep being repetitive. It's the best thing that happened to Breakfast Brothers. And I know there's other POS systems out there, but I've built a relationship with my man Austin, and we got some more locations coming.
Yes, sir.
Got toasters coming with it.
Yeah, we do. Let's do it.
Stay tuned. Coming up next, we got Alexander Quintanilla. Our next guest, he's an architect, founder and owner of Q Architecture and Design. Let's give a warm welcome for Alexander Quintanilla. Hey, what's going on?
How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Just Ricky.
Okay, how are you?
He always say, Mr. Ricky.
I
You're
like
doing
it,
pretty
but
good.
I was
Pretty
taught
good.
to do that.
And he's also my architect for Breakfast Brothers, so we got something new coming to you guys real soon. So, being an architect, what do you do? How do you keep a meal? And do you cook your own meals? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I'm lucky enough for my wife to cook most of my meals, so I got very blessed. She's a wonderful cook and cooks all sorts of cuisine that her mom taught her to do. So yeah, I'm very lucky for that. But you don't want me to cook a meal, I promise you that.
So since you said that, I gotta ask this question. What's the one thing that that you tore the kitchen up, it was a disaster, and you should never go back in the kitchen besides getting water?
Okay. Yeah, to get water? Yeah. That's about as much as I can do. Well, one day I did, in my line of work, we go into a lot of attics. So this couple wanted an expansion of their house. So I had to go up in the attic and see what kind of wood framing they had up there, right? So I get up there, I climb up the attic ladder, and you're wondering, what does this have to do with kitchens, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that, but I'm gonna let you finish the story.
I'm not gonna go into a whole pitch about all that, but I was walking through the attic. You gotta step on the joist, on the joist. Well, I looked up and I stepped in between right on the insulation and fell right through, and my leg fell through the kitchen ceiling. And all of the drywall fell right on all of the kitchen. So I was super embarrassed. I couldn't believe it.
So you got insurance after that? So
Yeah, well, I had to pay them to get it fixed. It took about 3 weeks to get that fixed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But then, other than that, they probably shouldn't have had that up there. Is it some kind of, did you step on the beam or you slipped off the beam?
I kind of slipped off of it, to be quite honest.
Okay.
And my leg was dangling. I got a little bit injured, but I didn't tell anybody. Yeah, I made a huge mess in the kitchen.
I thought
it wasn't a food mess.
You peeped up and seen the snake and it's
Oh, no.
But you know you gotta be careful in them house attics because there be
Yes.
some creatures up there sometimes.
It's a good word of wisdom. You have to be very, very careful and watch where you step is all I can say.
All right, Alex, we're gonna get back to that again at the sit down when you eat your breakfast, brothers. All right, I'm here at the sit down with Alexander Quintanilla, and he ordered chicken wings and red velvet waffle. Now, lovely Tanetta's bringing it.
Mr. Alex, are you ready for us to feed
I
yourself?
am beyond ready.
Yes, sir.
And this is his first time, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you dig in.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah,
Let me
I'm
see
sure. This is his first time. He's excited.
Which one first? Mix them up.
Either one
right.
will work.
I love it.
It's just a mixture of sweetness and sausage. Now, come on now. You
If-
gotta pick that chicken wing up.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
gotta, come on. You come
Pick
on.
it up.
Pick it up and eat that chicken wing.
Look at me.
Yeah. Put the syrup on the chicken wing. So I know he down that south, 'cause putting that syrup on that chicken.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta eat that red velvet waffle with it too at the same time. So what you think so far?
Delicious.
I don't want to choke, but man, it's one of the
Super
things.
good.
I really like that this is your first time. So what you
It really is. That's amazing.
amazing. Now you got to get strawberry with it too. Put a strawberry.
Okay.
together. Hope you ain't allergic to strawberries
No,
because
no.
I ain't got no insulin.
No, I'm good. It's delicious. No,
Now I want to.
it's so crispy.
Oh yeah. The difference with the flavor of saltiness and all-purpose seasoning we use and the sweetness of red velvet, you really don't need the syrup for the red velvet waffle.
No, but it's the texture.
Yeah.
I loved it. Thank
So,
you.
I want to get right into this because I used to want to be an architect. When I was going to school, they had what they call mechanical drawing back then, so you understand. So what made you want to be an architect? Where'd that come from? Especially the myth and the versus the reality part of it.
The myth versus reality. Yeah, I to be honest, I didn't even know what really an architect did when I was in college. I was studying, the general studies where they teach you physics and chemistry and all this stuff,
Right.
language and math, and I was like, what am I going to be? What am I going to be? A civil engineer. That's what I thought at first, and so I attended a few classes as a civil engineer, and I didn't really like it. Something was missing, and there was always kind of an artistic bone in me, if you will. A creative bone. When I was little, I would draw all the time. I would just sit at a table there for hours. But there was also some figuring out there, some sort of scientific background too that I
Right.
liked. And so I never knew, but the mixture of the two is really architecture, where you have real world problems. You got gravity, you got budgets, you got people and stuff that's going on with buildings and houses and such. But you also have an artistic side where it can't just be a mundane building. It needs to have some character. And so, I mean, that's kind of what really got me into it. If you want me to go into a little bit about kind of what we do on a day-to-day basis, or what an architect really does.
I definitely want you to do that to the aspect of, because a lot of people don't understand how important it is. And I say this on several of my stores, and stories coming from the Little Black Shack for people that know the story of Breakfast Brothers, until when we want to come into the brick and mortar part of the side. You can't just put paint on the walls and serve good food. So that's when we decided to get an architect to come up with a design that fits your profile and your personality, kind of like you're doing with the exterior.
Yes.
So go ahead, get into that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I see so many restaurants that are small and neighborhood restaurants that have the best, most amazing food out there, but sometimes the building itself is not attractive, or their sign's too small on the outside, or they don't have enough parking, a bunch of stuff like that. And so our idea is to really help people out with that. They're good at cooking and feeding their guests. We want to try to come in with our expertise and provide a design that is attractive for people, that is attractive when you're driving by, when you're walking by, if you're on a bike. Anyone out there can see a restaurant and be like, oh, I gotta go inside. So it's kind of like an appetizer for wanting to go inside. Now, once they're inside and they try your food, it's the food that takes over.
Right. So, that's a must too, because, I've been in restaurants that's beautiful.
Yes.
Food's terrible.
And what do you think of that when that happens?
Well, you sometimes, this is nothing against people with money. You got an investor that's invested into a firm that builds restaurants. and they have consultants that they come up with their menus with, and sometimes the lifestyle and the culture in that area and the look of it don't fit what the taste is. So it's a disconnection because you don't actually have the person that cooked and came up with that.
Yeah.
So it's a difference. So being an architect, what's the most important projects to date that you think you're working on now that you got?
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones I worked on were a 28,000 square foot retail center in Plano that's up and running. It has a grocery component, has restaurants, and a few other amenities, some retail. And I also love working on restaurants. I think that restaurants are a big investment financially. People, I don't think, understand how much money goes into building out a kitchen. It's just way more than the front of house.
Right.
But if you plan it right, it's like in a machine. People are back there working, really hard. They need to have room, but not too much room between the back line and the expo line.
Right.
Food needs to get out fast. It needs to stay warm, and so it really is a challenge getting everything to fit into a small space, be efficient, not too big, and so that I like the challenge. I find it like a puzzle that needs to come together, everything, and once it's put together right, and you bring the right people in, it should run on its own without many changes.
And that's called systems. I preach that over and over and over. Systems. And you probably already answered this, but what's your specialty in your business that you think you can just tune into?
Yeah, a lot of people think that just architecture, you're an architect and you can do everything, but there is specialties. There's people that are experts in airports, hotels, hospitals, houses, single family homes or multi-tenant houses. And I'm into restaurants and retail and office, but mainly restaurants and retail. I like doing that. I think I get connected with people I've sold that they put their hearts into it and all their money. And my goal is to, as Austin was saying earlier, to support them and let's all get there as a team.
Yeah, and we went with you. And like I said earlier in the kitchen, we got something special coming real soon. That is a new look and a new design for Breakfast Brothers, and it's over the top. It's a wow factor. He's talked about driving past something that people love and people like. It's unseen for a breakfast spot. We won't give away into too much more, but talk about a little bit what made you come up with, what made you get into where you made that exterior look the way it looked.
Sure, and like you said, without giving up too much, I think that you mentioned to me something that stuck in my mind when I was working on it, and that was when a young person, like a child, drives by a certain location. It might be a donut shop or a hamburger place or whatever, and they see it and their mouth starts watering, and they tell their parents, like, stop, I want to eat this. And that's what you wanted for Breakfast Brothers. And so it needed to be a little bigger. It needed to be bold and not, it's a restaurant. You wanted it to have character. You wanted it to be out there. And you wanted this outdoor space. And so all those put together, we came up with a really nice sort of shade device out front with a lot of color, and that also has the elements that you have, which are the metal from your truck and some of the wood tones from the inside of the restaurant.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't wait till we unveil it in the first city or where we unveil it, or there's a picture or whatever. I came up with the idea. My background, I came from music too, to where even in these days, whether it's music, food, or however, if a kid do something on TikTok, people, they make things what we call these days go viral. So, and we pay attention to the younger version and the younger culture a lot. If somebody come up with a dance song in their room and a kid can instantly make you an artist overnight because it goes viral. Next thing you know, you're a millionaire overnight because of that. So some of those values that the youngsters bring in is like, I have grandchildren, and I know it's been times I'll be driving and my grandson in the back, Tyson, just look at something and say, that's McDonald's, Papa, I'll go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
and it came to a point every morning me taking him to the daycare, when back in the day he wanted to stop at a donut shop because he seen it. Something about the donut shop. And even now, just with kids that's younger version, if you hold a baby, you got something on that's colorful, a baby will sit there and stare at it. So that's where my whole thing, because the value of making money is based off our kids is the future. So that's where
That's how that came up?
Yeah. because I've always followed that when I was managing hip hop artists. You know, if the similarity of a song, I use it like this, came the same way, is a visibility of something. If you hear an instrument and a kid can sing the chorus without having the words there, they heard that song repetitive enough to where it tunes in their similarity of their brain they liked. So you know you got a hit record.
It kind of
right. So if you transform you past this restaurant, the parent may not stop there every day at all until payday. They find it cool in there and go. But that kid asks for it every time they pass.
Because they know the colors, they know
That's
what
right.
it looks like.
They don't know what it is, but they know it's something. And eventually they'll identify that it's Breakfast Brothers.
It's going to be iconic.
Right. So it's got to be global, it's got to be national, and it's got to be transparent to children.
Yep.
If so, you got to hit. You go eat the food, and the food is good.
Oh, it's
you don't
good.
stop it.
It's good. I can't wait to gobble it all up.
Alexander, I call you Alex,
Yeah.
but anyway, I call him Alex. That's my friend. Tell everybody if they want to anything about you, anything about the architect firm, if they want to get something designed, how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. I mean, very accessible by phone, by email. My website is qarchitectureanddesign.com. So it's spelled QARC design.com. It's qarc.com. And so anytime you want to get a hold of me, just you can Google it. I'm on Google Maps as well, Q Architecture and Design, and I'm over in East Dallas. I'm there every day. And yeah, it's a pleasure being here. I really am very grateful, and the food is missing.
And I'm gonna tell you something, viewers. He's the same way. He's always smiling. He has the same attitude. He's pleasant. TV ain't got nothing to do with it. When I first met him, I'm like, man. Every time I met you, over and over there, he's always smiling. And you know, I'm gonna bring this up. And, you know, this wasn't part of the deal, but I get real in tune when it comes to family. And one day, Alex couldn't meet with me. He had to do something with his son, and I found out he had a special needs son, and how he is and how his son, you know, is. And for you to be happy all the time, and sometimes people don't really be in tune the extra work that you have to put in when you have a special needs child, and that right there is what. I get emotional when I talk about things like that. But once again, if you want some of the things you've seen today on the show, chicken and waffles, river waffle, chicken tacos, catfish and grits, or whatever, you can join us right at our main location. Well, it's not our main, it's our foundation. It's in Arlington. We open 6 days a week, close on Tuesday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And our next location is in the Redboro area, 3704 West Camp Wisdom. We're there 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And our newest concept is Breakfast Brothers Express. If you want to deliver it early AMs, and even want it after hours when you leave a nightclub or a concert, we're there at 12 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays, and Monday through Friday, we're there at 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Join us each time at any location to eat some of our food. I'm your host, Ricky Booker. See you guys next week.